Hello guys, it's Alex again, and this is a video on a Mazda Mx5 2006 on the rear brake pad service. I'm going to be replacing the rear brake pads. Got the new set here, Paget ones. I mainly use Paget brakes because they're quite good. I never had an issue with them, so I just want to run you through a few things before you start doing the job. Obviously make sure you're always safe and you're on even ground. So obviously get your locking wheel nut first if you got one, and what I do while the wheel is still on the ground is just crack them a little bit, just a little bit of turn, so it's going to be easier to undo them when it's up in the air. Also, before I start doing it all, check your brake fluid level. As you can see, there's enough space for it to go up when I'm going to be pushing the cylinders back in. But keep an eye on it after you've done one side. Just double check if you still got space for the brake fluid to go up. If not, you have to suck a little bit out. So yeah, once you've done all of that, check it out, you can raise the vehicle up. And I've used the security locks on the front wheel so it doesn't roll back or forward. So I got this side on the back and the other side is on the front, so that should be safe. And now I'm going to jack it up and get the wheel off and show you what to do next. Right guys, so I got the wheels off, and I just want to say about the support. I use obviously the jack stands there, make sure they're in the right place, and I always leave a jack as well, just in case. Doesn't hurt being extra safe. So both sides are the same. And the wheels are off. So now you're gonna need a 12mm to undo the bolts and a 17 to hold the nut while you're undoing them. While you're here, you can also check the suspension components. Find the damage, you might as well, while the wheel is off. So you can have a look at your anti-roll bar link, see if you've got a play, and check the seals if there's any cracks or splits, or if the grease is coming out. And also while you're here, you can have a look at your spring, see if it's broken anywhere or if the shock is leaking. I can see there's a slight mist in there, but it's not major, that's not an issue yet. And you can have a look at your obviously brake hoses, if there's any cracks or leaks, and your brake pipes. As you can see, this one got built up of a lot of mud. I'm going to clean it a little bit off to check the ferrule and the pipes. Because usually when you got so much mud on it, that's when they start getting corroded. So clean all that off, and you can see that it's fine, there's no bubbling, so that's good. And the ferrule also looks good, the bottom one as well, so that's good. So now, like I said, we need to undo the 12mm and get them out, and then we can slide the caliper off. Right guys, this is tools that you're gonna need to do the rear brake pads or discs. So you're gonna need obviously the caliper winding tool with the adapter suitable for the caliper. You get the whole kit of them, so there's lots of adapters. Then you're gonna need a 14mm and 12mm. 14 is for the brake pads carriers, if you want to remove them, there's 2 bolts, and 12 either socket or spanner. Probably spanner will be easier. It's 12mm for the sliders for 2 bolts, and 17 to hold the nut in case they're turning. Then you're gonna need tools to clean the pad locators, because they're gonna have rust or dirt or anything, so you have to clean them up. And screwdriver to remove the calipers off in case they're tight. Also you need some kind of a spray, the lube spray. When you pushing the pistons, winding the pistons back in, you can spray it a little bit under the seal, the caliper seal, just to make sure that it's not going to split or it's not stuck on the cylinder. And you're also going to need a brake grease, which you're going to need to apply on the brake pads and the sliders. Like I said, make sure all the seals are intact and haven't got any holes. And all the torque settings are in the video, and I'm going to put them in the description as well. Right, so once you got the caliper off, you can have a look at the seal around the piston there, see if there's no holes. So this one looks good. And also check on the calipers if your handbrake cable goes to rest position. It should come back, the little metal should come back to that point there. There should be no gap. So always make sure that's going back all the way. If it's not, then you need either to readjust your handbrake cable, or there's obviously an issue with your caliper. So you'll need to check if there's any tension on the cable. If there is no tension in the cable and it's not going back, then obviously there is an issue with the return spring, it's weak. It does happen quite often. If not, then you have to readjust the handbrake, or check if the cable is not seizing up. In that case, you'll need new handbrake cables. So that's all you check on that side. Now on this side, on the carrier, you need to check if the sliders are sliding, if they're moving free. As you can see, this one's fine. Check the seal around it. And the same on this one, it's free. So what I usually do when I do the brakes is you get them out, make sure don't split the seal. And once they are, you can apply a bit of grease on them, new fresh grease, clean this one up and put new grease on it. And obviously now we take the pads out, get them out of there. This one's a seizing up a little bit, as you can see. To get them out, as you can see, they're quite low and they have been seizing up. The discs don't look too bad. There's a very minor lip there, so they're fine. They're reusable, that's why I'm just doing the pads. So like I said, after you remove the pads on both sides, yeah, they're pretty much gone. You need to take the shims out and clean everything up. Make sure there's no rust build up. So I use this little tool to clean them all up and get in all the little corners, which I'm going to show you in a second. Let me get them out. Right, that's them shim off. You can clean them up now. Get all the dirt and corrosion off of them, and you can see there it's got a lot of corrosion and dirt in there. So like I said, use one of them tools and clean it all off. It goes back to the metal. It's all nice and smooth, because obviously if there's any lumps or anything, gonna stop the pads moving. You can also, obviously, if you're doing the rear discs, you'll have to remove the carrier, which is 2 14mm bolts there. So you can also remove the whole carrier to clean it up, which will make it easier. It's only 2 14s, which I will do now, just to show you. It makes it easier. Right guys, so I've done them 14mm, they are. So now you just slide it off. And like I said, it's gonna make it easier to clean them up now, both sides, so you can get to everything. So clean them up. And you can use a wire brush if you want as well. Like I said, I'm just using this tool because I just make it a lot easier for me to do it, but it's up to you what you use. And obviously if you're changing the discs, then this is pretty much where you have to be. So just get the disc off and we'll get the disc off, clean everything up, put a bit of grease around the hub and put the new discs on. That'll be the job done for the discs. Now the other thing I wanted to tell you is you will need a special tool to wind the calipers back in, like I showed in the beginning on what tools you need to use. So there are different calipers, there's different ways of winding them back in. Some wind back in clockwise, the others wind back in anti-clockwise. So I'm going to show you in a bit how to do that while we're here. Right guys, so this is the little kit I got for the brake calipers to wind them back in. It's US Pro one. They're not that expensive, it's only about 30 quid. So that's the kit you got, one for left, one for right, and all the different adapters. Obviously you have to check. I've already fit my one in here. As you can see, it locates perfectly. And this one, the near side, the passenger side rear, you have to wind them back in, you have to do it clockwise. So all you do is, obviously I can't really do it now because I'm holding the phone, but you just turn it clockwise and you can see they're going to start going back in. So you have to wind them back all the way, because if not they won't be able to go back on your new discs and pads. So once you wind them back in, you can start reassembling everything. Right, so once you wind them back in, it should look something like this. Make sure this is in line, because on the pad there's a little locator which is going to fit in that line in the opening. It'll be sitting there in the middle, so make sure, like I said, make sure it stays in line like that. Also, when I wind them back in, clean the seal, all the dirt off the seal first, and lift the seal a little bit and spray a little bit of grease or anything in there, just a tiny bit, so when it's turning it's not going to damage the seal. Makes it easier, but don't spray too much. So like I said, now you've done that, you can reassemble everything. Right guys, when you're doing everything up, don't forget to use the correct torque setting for the 14mm bolts, and when you put the 12mm bolts in as well. I got the correct torque setting on the autodata. I'm going to show you quick. So you can see this 2-litre Mazda Mx5, and the correct settings are brake carrier to hub is 58, so that's for the 14mm, and 23 for the caliper. So it's 58 Newton meters for the 14mm and about 30 Newton meters for the 12mm. Make sure you do them up properly to avoid any issues. Right, so that's the new pads that you get. That's the padded ones, like I said, they come with the covers for them. Make sure it all fits properly, so slide the covers in there, lock them in. Obviously make sure they're the right size, that they're the same as the old ones, so all the fittings are right. And apply grease on them, brake grease as you can see there, and slide them back in. Make sure it's nice and even there. Obviously do the both sides. Right, so like I said, apply some grease on it. You can see I put some grease there as well, on the inside. And don't forget about the location of this, like I said, so it fits on that locator on the pad, so it slides back on. So at this stage, when you wind it back in all the way, it should just slide on, perfect. And now you can put your 12mm back in. And like I said, don't forget to torque them up. And once they're all done up, that's the job done. And the same thing on the other side. Right guys, that's all on. Everything's torqued up, obviously apart from the wheel. And before I forget, the torque setting for the wheel nuts are 113 Newton meters. So make sure you torque them up evenly. And like I said, once you've done one side, don't forget to check the brake fluid level. As you can see, it went up now. So what you can do now, you can pump the pedal, the brake pedal. It will go down a little bit, or if not, if you got too much, then you have to suck some out, like I said before. And obviously start doing the other side. One thing is important, when you finish the job, don't forget before you drive it, pump your foot brake. Make sure you pump it all the way down so the brakes are nice and firm, because obviously there will be a bit of space. If you just drive it out without pumping the brakes, you won't be able to stop at the first pump on the brake. So like I said, don't forget to pump the brakes before you go anywhere, and make sure that they feel good. Right guys, thank you very much for watching this video and for choosing my YouTube page again to help you out. Make sure, if this was helpful, to subscribe. Comment below if you need any other help, or if you need any settings or any specifications from the auto data. I won't mind giving it to you. And yeah, if you need any other help with this car or any other cars, please let me know. Thank you very much for watching and have a good day. Bye.